But we also found out that Blade, speaking of that movie and a lot of the conversation around it, it's officially confirmed to be rated R, which is I think something we had suspected and wanted and hoped
Hmm.
for. And look, a rating doesn't determine the quality of a movie. There are
Right.
great movies in every single rating category possible, right? And so this could have been a PG-13 movie, and that doesn't mean that it could not have been great. But if we're being honest about it, I think a lot of us desire to see something a little bit darker, a little bit more gritty, mature, potentially gory, bloody, violent. I think a lot of us
Mhm.
wanted those things just due to how the character is represented in the comics and wanting a change of pace and a change of tones for Marvel and the types of projects that they make. But the director Jan Demange, he talked about his ability to secure that R rating and how important it was. He has a quick quote that he gave to Deadline, I believe. I'll read it quickly. He says, "quote I come out of this wanting to be more open, more vulnerable, and bring more of a personal aspect to my work. But for Blade, we are going to have fun because Mahershala is such a deep actor. I'm excited to show a kind of ruthlessness, a roughness he has that allows him to walk the earth in a particular way. I love him for that. He's got a dignity and an integrity, but there is a ferocity there that he usually keeps under the surface. I want to unleash that and put it on screen." End quote. So how do you feel about this? Just, everything considering Blade, all the stuff that we've heard, the rumors, some of the stuff that sort of signals to maybe a troubled production, Mahershala potentially walking away at some point. This is kind of a sign of good news, and it may be a bit of quality control on the part of
Mhm.
Marvel, putting Jan out there to speak directly to the project after that Variety article came out last week. But how do you feel about this decision to truly, lean into it being an R-rated movie and also just kind of being only the second project, I think, after Deadpool 3 that will receive that rating from an MCU project?
I mean, I can only give Marvel, I think, so many points for being like, duh, this movie should be rated R. But, at the same time, I do like measures of good faith, especially again with a project like Blade with such a big actor like Mahershala Ali. And I actually do really like this quote, only because it does speak to what this movie I think can bring to Marvel. I think he uses the word ferocity, which I think is important. It's like, yes, that is a perfect word to me to explain the kind of Blade film that we need to see that is rated R. I actually love the word ferocity here. And he also talks about how Mahershala Ali usually keeps that under the surface. I absolutely love that too. I think as a director, he's looking to bring something else out of Mahershala that we haven't seen before, right? We've seen a lot of Mahershala projects, but there's always, no matter what it is, except for maybe like Luke Cage, there's always like a softness to Mahershala Ali in a lot of these things. And Blade doesn't necessarily have that up front, right? That's not a thing that Blade is like, oh wow, what a soft character. And so I'm excited that Jan Demange is tapping into that. And yeah, man, Jan Demange, I think he has some credits on what, like Top Boy and maybe some Lovecraft Country stuff, right? Which I think he's used to directing some more, those darker some of those darker tone in theme. So I really like this quote for him. But man, this is like, duh. I hope it's rated R. I'm happy it's rated R. It is still good to hear that it's rated R. But again, as a statement of good faith and good measure, I'm not mad at it. Again, hopefully this is a look of like, look, y'all, everything else put in the past. We don't know what the hell's going on with all these other writers and directors, but look, me and Mahershala are working. That's what I hear from this quote. Is me and Mahershala are working and things are moving forward. Don't worry, Blade is rated R.
Yeah, it's not the most shocking thing in the world. I think we suspected that they would lean in this direction. Once we found out Deadpool was going to maintain its R rating and that status, which has been the case for the previous two movies, we saw that there was a willingness on the part of Disney and Marvel to develop media and properties around more mature ratings. They're not afraid of that. We even when they brought over all of the Defender series from Netflix and put those on Disney Plus, it's like, oh wow, okay, now we can actually use those TVMA settings on Disney Plus. Like there we go. And so this being the choice for Blade is I think a good one, at least in terms of what we can expect out of the tone. Again, it doesn't equate to a great movie. It does not. I think that
Mhm.
it only signals to the potential to do something that feels different than everything else, which I think is important to maintain for Blade because Blade is such a different type of character than all of the other Marvel heroes. Where you want to see some stuff be a little bit more violent. I think you want to see them not be hindered by a rating system and be able to utilize blood when we're talking about vampires. Like that's a pretty important aspect for that type of mythology and that type of fantasy. And so I think it's a good thing. And I think ultimately, again, regardless of the other reports about the development of Blade, it feels that Jan and Mahershala are still very much committed to this and they want to get it right and they want to put it in the best place possible for us to see it. And so most of the signs here so far point to that being the case. I think it's really going to come down to just really the execution of it, if that R rating actually makes a difference or not, which I certainly hope it will.